we've all gone through this in our own unique way. Hardy and I are, kind of in parallels in a lot of certain ways on how we approach the training from a physical perspective. And there's it's all wrapped up, as we know, who for those of you that are watching that are involved in this art, it's wrapped in these elemental aspects. And that's one thing that is just so night and day from my perspective, and what I've seen in other martial arts, and particularly how we train, is that these elemental aspects hold within them all of these different keys of our own personalities and our own traits, and how we approach and handle stress, and what stress does to us when we are involved in those moments. And we all know the attributes. If you don't, it'd be too long of a conversation to go into here, but we know that earth, as we kind of look at it, earth is holding our ground. Water is creating space, trying to see what's going on first before we make a decision. Fire is just kind of just preempting anything that would happen. We just kind of get in its way, or we take care of it before it becomes larger than it is. Wind is we're kind of eluding and escaping and letting this thing take its natural course, and it just kind of whirls around us as we go through life, as you could say. And then this void element is all of those things kind of combining in their own unique ways. They travel in and out of our daily and our entire life experience. So with that elemental process, and we start to move past that, and we see, how do these things apply in our daily lives that we aren't even aware of? What was one of the first things that you were taught when you first started this training, that still to this day plays itself out, that you recognize in your daily life? What would one example be for you?
So maybe one that comes to mind right away is this idea of maybe I'm faced with a stressor and I don't feel like holding my ground. I don't feel like holding my ground. Maybe one possibility is I feel like getting out of there. Now that's normally termed in our culture as a weakness. You're backing out. We've got phrases that kind of look at this in a negative way, or frame the way we think about it. You're backing out, you're backing away, you're being scared, you're being whatever. So one of the ways to this day that sticks out, so physically studying how backing out is actually a strength. How it's a strength. It's not. No, it's not a mistake. It's not a mistake. It's not a fault. No, you're not seeing it correctly. That's all. Here, let's change this, how you're looking at this. Let's keep this feeling that you've got. Let's keep that as the driver. And now let's just change a couple little aspects to where now this moving away is more very strategic, and keeps the opponent guessing and having to realign and all of those things. That was revolutionary to me. You mean I don't have to apologize for that? I don't have to somehow overwrite that or pretend. No, keep it. No, that's a guess what? Here's an even bigger idea. That's a wisdom. That's a wisdom that's part of your genetic heritage. That's a thing you were given as part of your birthright. And now you get to use that. You can use it, and it can be a power. What? Wow. So you're telling me moving away, the so-called getting scared, the so-called backing out, the so-called, you're running from whatever, the problem. You're running from the problem. That's a gift. That's a power. Now, it's more than a gift, it's a power. So that sticks with me to this day. And so all of them are like that. All of them are like that. They're all part of who we are. And then if we use those or not in a way that's effective, in a time that's effective, we can keep the feeling. We can keep the feeling, but maybe part of this is letting go of what's no longer necessary as a part of that, each one of these, right? So each one of these gets more and more efficient until they start to look very similar later
Mm.
on, right? So very later on, so this backward movement, am I moving backward, or am I just positioning kind of in a connection way? Or is it I'm really flowing a little bit more with it like a wind way, but then it all kind of, it looks more and more, the essence of it looks more and more similar. So, but the feelings are still there, but they become powers now.
Yeah.
That is, that's gold. That's gold. So if I could get that across to my clients here in my office, because I'm a therapist and stuff, that no, you don't have to apologize for these things. You don't have to feel ashamed. You don't have to feel this sense of burden. No,
Mm.
there's no, all you need is more experience and more knowledge, and you can turn this into something that works great for you. You're not defective. Oh, man.
Yeah. That's such a great answer, because you're talking about things that are unnecessary in your life. And I think that's part of our, you're just describing as our physical training. The more advanced you get in this art, the more you start to realize what you don't need, to make this efficient and effective. And the same goes with our non-physical attributes in this art as well. I'm able to, emotionally position myself in such a way that no matter what, uh, no matter what stresses I may have in my life at any given moment, if I just position my way, meaning my mental outlook, a certain way, then I can avoid the heartache that would come by taking these things full on. And I come up with solutions to make me a happier, healthier person. And then, of course, the idea would be, tell me what your thoughts are as well, is I take those things, and what formulates this new character that I have, this new way of solving problems that I have, and this new way of dealing with the world, as it is right now. And we're in some pretty tenuous times, right now. So a lot of that, I think, how people are responding to the things is the way that they were brought up and the filters that they had on this is what this is what this stressor means, in our different lives as we lead them. But there are some things that are intercongruent, which is kind of a bedrock of what we study from the esoteric or the non-physical side of things. And I wanted to get your input on, give us kind of the Jim McFarland definition of what we would call in our practice of Sanmitsu, this triple secret, which is really minding your thoughts, minding your words, and minding your actions. So to those of you who may be tuning in, don't don't go anywhere. A lot of people kind of come on and then they hop off real quick because maybe there's something that's like, oh, they're talking about this and I really don't know what it means, so I'm gonna pop off. But this is you were talking about truth. This is a universal truth. Minding what you think, what you say, and what you do. So, Jim, if you would expand on that in your own way, that would be awesome.
Sure. So maybe any given result that we produce in this world, whatever result, maybe it's a relationship result, maybe it's a job result, maybe it's a parenting result, maybe it's maybe just a spiritual result. Any result, all results that we produce, the sum totality of all of those is got to be produced in one and or three ways, right? There's three basic causes, and we can divide a human being up into these kinds of, now we do that arbitrarily. We do that arbitrarily to be able to better understand this. But the three basic components are that we're going to produce results are, one, we're going to produce results with our body, right? We can all agree on that. So what you do with your body at any given day, so I pick up this Coke and, I'm drinking it. There's a result I just produced, right? So setting it back down is another result. Any result that I literally look around that any human being has generated probably there were individuals or that individual that engaged in action with their body. You got to get this involved, right? My body's doing something. Second major way is we could call it intellect, but even more, if I really want to dial it in, just really my words, what I'm saying to myself, what I'm saying to others, what my intellect that normally we might call the word brain or discursive brain or whatever that's doing is producing results, whatever strategy I'm using, whatever method, right? So that's another way. Literally, results are produced just from our mouth. Amazing results, tragic results can be produced through the power of a single word, or not even a word. Let's even get a little bit more. What about just any communication? Maybe just with the body, with a gesture. Any communication can produce a result. Third way, this one's a little bit harder. This one's a little bit more challenging, but if you really start looking at it, you'll start to maybe get your head around it, is what I think, the filters with which I judge reality and with which because the filters I use, how I think about stuff and what I envision in my mind and what I envision it is, whatever it is I'm experiencing, that's going to determine what words I use then, and then what actions I'm taking with it. So then any result is going to be one and or more of these three. Now, traditional esoteric, where this idea of triple secret came from, is it reaches back into old Japan. There were two mind science studies. One was Tendai and the other one was Shingon. And so then it reaches further back beyond that into China, and further on behind that into, Tibet and India. And so what they were really saying with this Sanmitsu is that we want to aim for and look to cultivate congruence between these three. So three as one. So three different aspects. So if I want to get a maximum result, let's say I'm working on my relationships. So first thing I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have some type of disciplined physical endeavor involved in that, right? So maybe I have to go, maybe I have to do certain things with my partner, right? I may have to engage in certain activities with my partner, go out and do things, hold hands, hug. I may have to do that differently. I may have to do different physical things, right, to generate a different result with my partner. Second one is concentrated intellectual exploration. I better have a good method to develop a better relationship, and I better have an idea what the problems are, right? So that would make sense, right? So I would want to consult things like books, get on the internet and Google it. I mean, we have this, my wife calls it the Oracle. She says, consult the Oracle. And we'll go on Google, and see if we can get a glimpse of something there. We may have to go to a professional or a teacher to teach us the right method. So that's going to be involved there. And then the third is we're going to have a focused intention. I need to have the want to improve my relationship, the true desire, not just because I think it's the best thing to do or because we're married and our culture says we've got to make the marriage work and through sickness and through health. And unless you really identify with that value, you have to be coming from your heart. Now, once I get all three of those in alignment, what I want with the right method and the right words coming out of my mouth to myself and to others, and then the right physical endeavor, when I get all three of those aligned, now I'm making results happen. Now results are happening. Now let's look at the opposite for a second. Do you know of anybody? Can anybody think of anybody that maybe they're saying they want one thing in the relationship? I want to be closer. I want to be more loving. I want to be more compassionate. They're saying one thing, and their actions are over here doing a totally different thing that's not in congruence with what they're saying. And then maybe they don't have a method, and maybe their heart isn't even in it. Maybe their heart's over here with this thing over here. Maybe they're working real hard and they're building a business, and that's their wife, this is their business, or that's their husband, there it is. So there's this incongruence between these three aspects of our being. So this is part of the Sanmitsu, is bringing these into alignment. We have these these funny little things that symbolize this. This used to be a battle hammer carried by a thunder god Indra in old Indian lore. And so he would carry this, and wherever he smacked it down, there'd be a thunderbolt that would come. All this explosive power, you know. So these three things are about that thoughts, what I hold in my mind, my thoughts, my words, my method in my mouth, what I'm saying, what I'm articulating, what I'm putting out there, and then finally my body, what my body is doing. And we even say that these three, we want to turn them into, so this is a cool way of looking at it, one. So now you can see just one line all the way across, right? As opposed to three. So here's three, right? And now one. So the three become one.